What's up, everyone? Welcome back to House Divided. Great weekend of college football. A lot of upsets happening. Let's go over our scoreboard for the weekend. I struggled. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I did awful. I went 2-4 on my best bets, 0-2 on my headlines, and a whopping 0-3 in my fantasy explosions. But Jose, on the other hand, went 2-0 on his best bets. His headlines went 2-0 as well. His fantasy struggled a bit, going 1-2. But our special guest, Rafa, went a whopping 6-1, with the only miss being Lions -3.5. They covered by 3, but very impressive from our guest right there. And he really carried us to having an overall good week, even though I was trying to bring us down.
I mean, he really did. He was Jared Goff throwing 4 interceptions instead of 5 away from a perfect weekend. Really, he brought us up. Well, one of us brought us down. 10-16, dude. What's happening?
I don't know, but it was just a bad weekend. I was up, like I was a positive record, and the bad weekend brought me back to the way negatives. But I feel a comeback in me.
Yeah, you got that comeback inside of you.
I actually guarantee a comeback.
You guarantee a comeback. Everybody, listen. He guarantees a comeback. What's your record after this week?
No, it's going to be 1 week at a time, but at the end of the NFL playoffs, I will have a better percentage record than you, and I would bet on it.
All right. You think you have a better win percentage? I doubt it, considering one of us is positive, one of us is negative, but we will see.
Yeah, but you're a bad week away, and I'm a great week away from being all tied up. But I think to make this interesting, we should have a little wager.
Wager, huh?
At the end of the playoffs, whoever has the most percentage, the best percentage, win percentage, wins, and the loser has to do. You guys drop in the comments the punishment. We'll pick a reasonable punishment for the loser to do at the end of the NFL playoffs, and we'll drop it on a video. All right. Yeah. Anyway, besides bets, Quinn dominating performance against Florida. Is he back, or is Florida just that bad?
I think it's a bit of both. Both can be true in this situation. Texas is coming off a bye, so they are more prepared. They looked really good. Quinn looked really good in a lot of moments. I'll say most moments. Like every quarterback, he had his slip-ups, but I'll attribute that to him being really well this week. Bond is back. I'll attribute that to that as well. But we can't ignore the fact that an already weak Florida defense was missing a bunch of starters in the secondary. So I'd say both could be true, but you don't throw for 333 yards and 5 touchdowns, and you are not a major factor of that.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to work on some of their past concepts and really trying to get Quinn going. They ran the ball when Arch came in, but before that, it was pass heavy, and I think it was because they were trying to get Quinn back on track, which I think is smart. And he looked good. He looked like he hadn't had just a couple of bad games. Like he was the same Quinn at the start of the season and last season, and makes me feel a little bit better about Texas now that I saw that. But obviously, we got to see it against a better opponent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They have 2 weeks to get right, really, for the big showdown. Obviously, is going to be A&M. It's the one we're all looking forward to. It's why we created this show. You know, we're all just a preview to that. But there's a big game next week. Arkansas, we're historical rivals. We can't overlook them. We know it's an away game. Arkansas's already beat a big team in Tennessee. And then week after that, similar story. It's the home finale, so hopefully that atmosphere will be great. But same story again. Kentucky beat Ole Miss already. Great win there. They gave a showdown against Georgia, so you got to be ready for those. And I'm glad Quinn stepped up this week to be ready for those games, and then the finale, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on. The Cardiac Canes, they couldn't get it done this week.
You can only be so bad so many times, right? That defense was horrendous for weeks in a row. You know, it took the Hail Mary, some penalties a couple of weeks before. This time, the one mistake Cam Ward makes cost them, because he was that team, him and Restrepo. And eventually, if Cam Ward makes one mistake, they couldn't overcome that.
Yeah, honestly, the whole time watching that game in the fourth quarter, I was like, they're going to figure out a way to win it again.
Mhm.
And they just kept punting. And then they finally scored that touchdown. And then they couldn't stop Georgia Tech at the end. But
And then the fumble was that they
yeah,
had the chance, and then when Cam Ward can't be Superman, that's it.
yeah, it was shocking coming into it, but during watching the game, it wasn't that shocking. But I felt like the cardiac canes, like the broadcasters like to say, we're going to pull it out. But this time, Cam Ward couldn't get it done, which I'm not knocking him.
Absolutely.
He's pulled off a lot of miracles this season, but he just needed to be special one more time, and he just couldn't.
But since we've been talking about shockers, let's turn it to the biggest stunner of the weekend. Ole Miss wins. What's the playoff outlook for both of these teams after this game? Ole Miss is a huge resurgence, and Georgia might find themselves tumbling out.
Yeah. First, I'll go into the game. I was really impressed with Ole Miss defense, that pass rush. Every time Carson Beck stepped back, there was someone in his face. I thought our D line was the best in the country, but after seeing that game, dominating those Georgia offensive line, who's usually physical with every team, I think Ole Miss has a top three, maybe even number one pass rush. It was impressive to see how they were disrupting every pass that Carson Beck tried to throw.
Yeah, this is the most physical game I've seen Ole Miss play in the Lane Kiffin era. They absolutely looked like the more dominant team last night, and this is what we were all expecting Ole Miss to be preseason wise. So yeah, this is the Ole Miss we were looking for, and going forward to the playoff, they are now in. I think if they win out, they're in. So I don't think they have a chance to make it to the SEC championship because of other wins and losses in other places. I think it's out of their control unless some unexpected losses happen. So they should be able to keep their spot in the rankings.
Yeah, I think you said Ole Miss, if they went out, they should get in, but you never know with the committee if they'll bring them down because of that LSU loss and that Kentucky loss. But they also, I think, for sure, if they went out to be in, they need some losses here and there by a couple teams that are ahead of them. But Georgia, I don't know. It's going to be tricky for them, especially if Bama and Ole Miss went out because they have that head-to-head over Georgia. So I think it'll
at least for Georgia, what I'll say is this. They have another big game that could catapult them back up.
Yeah.
It's something not a lot of teams are fortunate enough to have after a loss like the one they just suffered.
Yeah. If they beat Tennessee, then both those teams would jump Tennessee, including Georgia as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, if the Tennessee falls, they fall behind Bama, Ole Miss, and Georgia in the rankings.
Yeah. It'll be a good game.
This will either cement Tennessee's spot in the SEC championship and be the nail in the coffin in Georgia's playoff hopes, or it will make life really, really, really hard for Tennessee, and Georgia finds themselves, in my opinion, inside the bubble.
Yeah, we'll see. These last 3 weeks will be really fun and interesting. That's why I love this 12-team playoff, because there's a lot of important games still left to be played.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
but imagine the chaos where we in the 4-team era.
Yeah, no, this would be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if any an SEC.
Right now we might be looking at the top two teams, or top two teams would be a conference championship right now. So one of them would probably fall out of the playoff. Who knows if it were the 14? So
yeah, if Ohio State lost again, they would be
out. They would be out.
Yeah, and I feel like that's too good of a team to not have in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, speaking of playoff, our Colorado's a playoff hopeful. Do you think they're favorites in the Big 12 now?
Yeah. With what I saw from Iowa State's out of the picture, I'm going to get that out the way first. That's another bad loss. So it's down to them and BYU. I really think it's a coin toss when it's going to come down to that day, who plays better. Before this week, I think I would have rolled with BYU. This week gave me some doubts. I didn't love what I saw from them. But I'm going to stick with them for now. If they keep playing some ugly football, come the championship weekend, I might roll with Colorado, which I actually like how they've been playing a lot recently. But I think I'm sticking with BYU for now. What about you?
I think the championship's basically set. Colorado, BYU. They both have easy schedules remaining unless one of them slips up. They deserve to be out. But I think Colorado, BYU would be the championship, and I think Colorado will get the win and get that automatic bid. To be honest, I think I was impressed with their tech performance defensively, stopping. I mean, Taj Brooks ended up with 130 yards, but it was like on 40 carries. So I was really impressed with that, and I was impressed with Shiloh had a big fumble return. All of Deion Sanders' boys had a big game.
Yeah, but since we're, I agree with all of that, and since we're talking about the who we don't know is going to end up at the top of the Big 12, let's talk about the other conference that is also considered weaker than the SEC and the Big 10, that is also indulged into chaos now. Is SMU the class of the ACC?
No, I still
think Miami or Clemson or Louisville, someone's going to get to them.
I think I don't know what the championship would be because all the tiebreakers and stuff, but I think if SMU plays Clemson or Miami, I think they will lose.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that, and I think I agree with that too. So
yeah,
that was just a thought I came up with while we were talking about Colorado, and I really wanted to get that out there because crazy weekend in the ACC last 2 weeks.
I think they'll make the championship, but depends. If they play those two teams, I don't think they win the conference.
But since we saw a couple of surprises this week, let's talk about the one that surprised you the most. Your so-called headline, "The Tiger Uncaged." The Tiger was beat down, bloodied, and then they kicked him some more, and then they put him in the biggest cage of all time that he never got out of. Bama dominated in Baton Rouge. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think the tiger was even there. I think they had a cage and had a little stuffed, the little mascot they probably sell at the team store. The little mascot that's what was in the cage.
That's what set up.
It felt like the story we've had with LSU. They can't stop running quarterbacks, but just when they would have momentum, Garrett Nussmeier would do something to lose.
Yeah. Speaking of Garrett Nussmeier, I'd like to apologize to everyone. I still think he's a good NFL prospect wise. I think he has all the tools, but my take, yikes.
Yeah.
I apologize to the fans out there.
He did not look good. I mean, I don't think obviously the defense struggled to contain Milroe running ability, but I think this game's all on Garrett Nussmeier. Like when the team would have the momentum, fumble. When out of halftime they stop Bama, they get the ball. What does he do? He drives them down the field very well and then throws a pick right in the end zone.
I mean, he didn't play well at all. I won't say he hasn't played himself out of the first round in my opinion yet, but
a tough game. Tough.
He's deep in that conversation for QB3 with Milroe and Ewers alive. So
yeah, I know. I was in shock, to be honest. I
was too.
I thought I was getting so hyped up that my take was good, like LSU is gonna win, but no, it went away in the first 6 minutes of the game. Yeah.
Oh boy. Valley at night. Oh.
Hey, Brian Kelly had not lost that night till then.
Texas Tech home field advantage too. That's what you said.
Okay, they started off good. They just
the tortillas. Oh my God, that's so intimidating.
It was, dude. I didn't know they did that, and then I saw it, and then
Gador signed the tortillas.
Yeah, that's good. Good for him. Good for
him, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking so much about all these results that have happened this week. Who's moving up? Who's moving down? Let's get to it. Who are our top 10 teams right now?
Okay, let me pull mine up first.
Yeah.
Here we go. My top two stay the same. Oregon, Ohio State. They both took care of business. They both weren't really. Oregon looked a little shaky at times during that game during Maryland, but it wasn't really ever a game. Then I got Texas moving up. That comes from the loss of Georgia and Indiana didn't look that impressive, so I would jump them. And then I got Tennessee. That's why I had Tennessee jumping Indiana as well. I think Indiana's first semi-test, they almost lost that game, and their offense forgot how to play football in the second half, and it was really concerning. And O'Rourke was stepping back and getting sacked almost every play. So then I bumped Indiana, or I put Tennessee above Indiana because of that. Indiana, obviously, they're still undefeated, Power 5 conference. We'll see how they do Ohio State, but still a good team. I just wasn't impressed with them this weekend. And I got Penn State. Penn State, I mean, same story. They're a good team. They beat down on inferior teams, but when it comes to a team in a similar level or higher, they can't really compete. I got Notre Dame. Not really much to say about them. I don't really watch their games. They're playing a bunch of cupcakes, but I mean, they have that win over A&M, and obviously they slipped up against Northern Illinois, but I still think they're a top 10 team in the country. I got BYU, obviously undefeated, had a little scare here last weekend against Utah, but obviously still undefeated and still a really good team. I got Bama jumping up a whole lot, beating LSU the way they did, dominating them on both ends, making Garrett Nussmeier look like not even an NFL quarterback. Was impressive, and their running game was impressive. And then Ole Miss, number 10, they creep in, beating Georgia when no one really expected them to, dominating them and both sides of the line the way they did, with Jackson Dart a little hobbled without their number one receiver. I thought it was very impressive.
Yeah. All right.
Let's move to yours.
On to mine. I'm going to start us off very similarly as you. I have Oregon and Ohio State to start off too. Not really needing an explanation. Texas is number 3 as well because of the people ahead of them who lost. It was just natural. Here's my first change compared to you this week. I got Indiana at 4. While it wasn't the result you would have hoped for a little bigger of a result over Michigan, I liked the resiliency I saw from that team. It's just a good chance to establish themselves. And now I really want to see how they look after the bye week and the biggest game maybe in Indiana history against Ohio State this week. I got Penn State 5. It is what it is with Penn State, really, for me. They're not going to have another big showdown this year. They're just going to go into the playoffs, and they're going to look solid because that's what they are. I got Tennessee at 6. I did debate putting them over Penn State, but it came down to Penn State losing to Ohio State and Tennessee losing to Arkansas for me. BYU 7. I like them there. They're undefeated. Notre Dame, I have them at 8 because of that one loss to NIU. Alabama and Ole Miss both joined my top 10 just as they did to you, with huge wins this week for both of them.
I'm just curious, if Alabama and Ole Miss were to play right now, who would you pick? Neutral field.
Neutral field. I'm going with Bama.
I would go with Bama as well. I was just curious. The question popped.
They looked amazing this week against a team that beat Ole Miss. So
yeah, that's true. In the same environment, game at Death Valley. Anyway, enough with college football. Let's move on to NFL. Let's go all the way back to Thursday night. The Ravens escaped Burrow and Chase masterclass. It looked like they were just on rookie mode in Madden and just running a go route every play. But they still ended up losing. What's wrong with the Bengals?
Well, to the loss, I really, really attribute it to the refs. But as a greater thing regarding the season, it's the defense. They have Trey Hendrickson, and other than that, they don't have anybody really who's shown they can consistently stop anyone. But, I mean, I think that's the same issue with the Ravens, though. I think they're bad on defense, obviously attributing to a 34-35 game.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think the offense skill positions looked great. Chase Brown looking good. Yosevas stepping up for T. Higgins. And obviously, Jamar Chase looked like the best player in football that day. And Joe Burrow proving he's an elite quarterback. I think they should have gotten another chance at that 2-point conversion. I think there were 2 penalties on that play. that were not called. I do think it's very much time to panic for the Bengals because just the schedule you have ahead. So you can't be complacent in any way. You have to win out to get a wild card spot, really, is the reality they're facing.
Yeah. I think they're similar teams, high-powered offenses with no defense whatsoever. I think the difference between teams are that the Ravens, with Derrick Henry and Lamar's rushing ability, can control the game and can keep the ball for longer. And I think that's because both defenses are giving up so many points. And I just think that was the difference. The Ravens' running ability and time control really gave them one more point, basically.
Yeah, that's really all it was. Little help, we'll say little, because the Ravens did look really, really good offensively all game, and I don't want to take anything away from them. So there was a little help from the refs at the end with the no call on both Burrow's no call early in the drive with the face mask, then when they roughed him, and then the obvious holding. But big win from them.
What do you think about Zach Taylor going for 2 points with 40 seconds left right there for the 2 points?
I think it was an okay call. I mean, I don't love it, but I'm not necessarily against it because I think that game was coming down to the coin toss. I think whatever team was on offense was going to win that game because defense had done nothing all night and offense was cooking all night.
I think, to me, I don't love it. If there was like 10 seconds left, I would absolutely love it. But with 40 seconds left and the Ravens having timeout, it felt like, to me, even if they did get it, the Ravens, it was always going to come down to the Ravens, like if they could stop them for one of those 40 seconds. And I think you just go for overtime and not risk it on one play. But I mean, I don't think it was outrageous, but I just don't agree.
Like I'm like very neutral on it.
Yeah.
I think it was really basically a coin toss whichever way, because the coin toss is 50-50, and then the stats with 2-point conversions is almost 50-50 as well. So
yeah, I see that. Speaking of this division, your Steelers beating the Commanders, very impressive win. You guys are serious contenders.
Yeah, I think they are. They held a Washington offense that was cool, absolutely amazing in every asset for the game, to their lowest totals in yards, lowest totals in explosive plays, lowest total for Jaden Daniels rushing, and then offensively, 3 touchdowns from Russell Wilson. Love to see that. This is the first time the Steelers are averaging 30 points per game over a 3-game stretch since 2020. This is the first time. I saw Russell Wilson has as many touchdowns in 3 games as Kenny Pickett did a year ago. Yeah, crazy. I really like this Steelers defense. Love the defense, and that offense is really, really getting going. George Pickens is great. I think he was born with CTE, and that's become evident with some of the things he was doing yesterday. But yeah, great win. Love to see that over a great Commanders team.
I think what was impressive was the really limiting Jaden Daniels. Like the Commanders were running the ball, but Jaden Daniels was very kind of non-existent almost.
Five rushing yards, and I think that's the most inaccurate he'd been passing all year.
Yeah, so I think that was very impressive. Obviously, y'all's D-line was getting to him, but also great coverage on the back end. But yeah, I think Russ was impressive, and if he continues to play like this with that defense, you guys are serious contenders in the AFC.
I agree. We'll see next week, and we'll talk about it more later the week during our preview episode. But big head down between these last 2 teams. We talked about the Ravens and the Steelers, but we'll preview that later. But what these 2 teams, their goal is they want to be the class of the AFC. But right now, the class of the AFC is Luck's favorite team is what I'm going to describe them as, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 9-0. Is this the first time we ever see a Super Bowl three-peat? Is that what we're getting towards?
It's hard to say right now, honestly, because some of their wins do seem lucky, or like the refs helping them out. But I mean, like 9-0, you can't ignore it. It takes not only luck but talent and great football team to accomplish that.
I would like to point out this 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers were 11-0. They were winning like this, stupid wins, unsustainable, winning on miracles, and we all know what happened to them.
Yeah, but the difference is they have Patrick Mahomes and they are back-to-back Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
I think
they can keep getting lucky though.
Yeah, that's true. I saw their next schedule. If they get past the Bills here this upcoming weekend,
it's tough to play Buffalo and Pittsburgh in the regular season.
Yeah, but I saw the rest. They didn't show up in the graphic, but their next 5 games with 5 besides Buffalo, these guys should go 15-0.
Don't they still have to play the Chargers again, who are looking really good?
They are, but I think the Chiefs lately these years.
Those are 3 teams that are in the playoffs as of right now. I don't think you can count any of them guaranteed the way they've looked sloppy.
I don't know. I think they can three-peat, obviously, once again.
Definitely they can three-peat in the playoffs. That's when Mahomes is amazing. Unhuman what he does.
Yeah, I think, obviously, they're the favorites, and they should be. Obviously, their wins haven't looked impressive as we would like, but they're still 9-0. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They got the best quarterback in the league, even though he hasn't played like it at times this season. But once he gets into the playoffs, him and Travis Kelce turn into something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Travis Kelce has gotten going again. More recently, he started the year very rough, but he's gotten going, scored again this week. So, yeah, they're getting going. Like I said, they still have, in my opinion, 3 big showdowns against the Chargers, Bills, and Steelers to come. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I will say the difference that I've noticed, they had these losses the last 2 years. I think they lost to the Colts the year before they drafted Anthony Richardson when they went 4-12. So these things happen at Kansas where they play bad. Now they're just playing bad and still winning, so they're even better.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, speaking of a team that is on the roll without looking good, let's talk about a team that's on the roll and looking good. The Arizona Cardinals. What's happening there? Are they good? Are they the favorites in the NFC East right now? West, I mean? West.
Yeah. I was gonna say, please don't add another good team to our division.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I was impressed last weekend, this past Sunday against the Jets, but I also think the Jets are just bad and inconsistent sometimes. But I mean, what is that? 5 in a row for the Cardinals or 4 in a row?
Yeah.
They're sitting atop their division. They control their own destiny, and I like how Kyler Murray's been performing way better, finding Marvin Harrison Jr. more. And honestly, I think they either win the division or sneak in a wild card spot. I think they're that good, and I think they could make some noise, maybe pull off an upset here or two in the playoffs. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the Cardinals right now, especially early in the season. I didn't expect much from them, but now they're really rolling, and I think momentum in the NFL is really big, and I think they're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and they think they can beat anyone, and I think they can, and I think it'll be interesting these next couple of weeks how they continue to roll or if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they're looking really good. I don't know if I go as far. I think they're co-favorites for the West right now. 49ers are looking better as they get healthier. They escaped this weekend, which is not something you wanted to see, but still a win's a win. And I want to see how the Rams look tonight. They've looked a lot better since the return of both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. And I think that's a 3-horse race right there.
I would say the 49ers, it was close because Jake Moody missed
he missed 3 field goals, yes.
Hey, he made the one that matters.
He made the one that matters, yeah.
But it wouldn't have to matter if he made his other one.
He made the other 3.
But, sometimes, some people struggle all game, but they have that clutch bucket in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of clutch bucket, who was your player of the week?
Oh, just the player we all knew was going to go off this week. It was such a safe bet to go with him. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 2 touchdowns, 109 yards, I think. That's only 104 more yards and 2 more touchdowns than he had the week before. He's one of the reasons the Saints beat the team I had as the NFC South favorite, and I had them beating them handedly in the Falcons. He really showed out, really played well. Great game from MVS.
Yeah. You're going to be happy about this one. I got let Russ cook. Russell Wilson.
It's unlimited.
I think we saw old Russell Wilson back a little bit. Obviously not with the running ability he had in Seattle, but moving in the pocket, finding the right pass, really dotting up that Commanders defense. Those 3 touchdowns, George Pickens turned into an animal, high pointing the ball. I was really impressed. It was a big game. He showed out, and it's looking like the Russ Denver wanted to get but didn't get. It was. I was really impressed with him and the Steelers as a whole. So that's why I have him as my player of my week. From best player, who was the dud player of the week? The player that did the worst, or you were very disappointed in?
This is one guy who his team won, but he made life as difficult as possible for them. Sam Darnold looked like he was still seeing ghosts on the Jets this weekend. 4 field goals gave him the win, and Sam Darnold tried to make sure the Jags won this game. I thought he was looking really good at the beginning of the year, and that maybe he would get a second contract with his team. But I don't know. If he keeps playing like this is J.J. McCarthy's team in a year.
Yeah. I had Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold in my Dynasty League, and it was not pretty to watch.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but similar year, this guy's team won, but it was no thanks to him. Jared Goff, 5 freaking interceptions. It looked like at some point, like in Madden, when you're just down and you're getting frustrated and just doing 4 verts and throwing it up every time. It was bad. He got bailed out by CJ Stroud, throwing some questionable picks, and the running game really getting going in the second half. But yeah, Jared Goff was trying to hand the Texans this win with 5 interceptions. I don't know the last time someone threw 5 picks and his team ended up winning, to be honest.
That's a very, very rare feat. Says a lot about the that defense they have. Crazy that they were able to hold the Texans with all that, even without Aiden Hutchinson and Zadarius Smith, who didn't suit up for this game. A testament to the culture they've built there, and Jared Goff will get going again. He's not gonna. He had 4 interceptions the whole year before this week. So, but terrible game from him.
Yeah. Who was your most surprising team this weekend?
Most surprising team. I took a double bundle here. I went with the Marquez Valdez-Scantling led Saints. Big win over Atlanta Falcons team that I didn't think they could beat. Big shout out to their new coach. That's the spark you want to see when you fire a coach midseason. That's the type of energy you want to see your team bring. And I was very surprised the Saints were able to bring it this week.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't watch any of that game, but I kept seeing the score and see the Saints up, and I was like, whoa. But a team that surprised me, I would go with the Cardinals. I thought they would win, but the way they dominated the Jets was pretty impressive, and really is putting the whole country on notice and people in their division like, hey, we're contenders here for the NFC West.
Yeah, absolutely they are. I didn't think they would. I thought it was going to be a really close game with the Jets, and I think the Jets had a really, really good chance at winning that game. Wow, was I wrong with that one. Great showing. Surprised the heck out of me that they did that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, for most surprising, who was the most disappointing team for you this weekend?
To me, I think the answer is obvious. It's the Chicago Bears. What are you guys doing? You were supposed to be a playoff, like maybe even in wild card consideration, not at the beginning of the year. 2-3 weeks ago, when you guys were 4-2, and everybody was saying, "Oh, the NFC North, they might get all 4 teams in there." Caleb's kind of regressed, not just from college, but from earlier this year. I'd say might be looking like the worst of the 4 rookie quarterbacks starting right now. Bo Nix has gotten really solid. Drake May's playing very solid football, and obviously Jaden Daniels is a star already. But I wouldn't put it on Caleb either. I mean, he has looked like he's regressed, but that offensive line, he got sacked 9 times by a New England Patriots team that I think had like either 16 or 17 sacks on the year only. You got handled 19-6 by a struggling Patriots team. I'm baffled. I mean, Eberflus has obviously lost the locker room. Shane Waldron can't coach a play or play call anything. I thought the Bears would win by a good amount.
Yeah,
Or not, but
that's why I had them covering.
by them. There's no explanation. This team is really good on paper.
Yeah, no, they are, and they've played good. Like to start the season, maybe not the first 2 weeks, but after that, the last.
They had a great midpoint from where we are. Let's call it the mid-season of where we are.
Yeah,
they looked really good. They got 4 wins in that stretch, and now that's 2 weeks in a row where they look really disappointing.
Yeah, especially in that division, knowing you would have to play those teams a lot, and they're all really good. Dropping a game like that to the Patriots is just a season killer.
Yeah,
we'll see if they can bounce back, but I'm not hopeful. Hopefully, Caleb hasn't been the franchise changer we thought he would be in his junior year of college.
It looks like they're going to go through the cycle again. You keep a bad coach, you draft a rookie quarterback, you then fire the coach, making him restart. He's bad, obviously, because of the situation. Because he has a bad coach again, but then you just replace the quarterback with another first-round pick. You did it with Trubisky. You did it with Fields, and history's repeating itself again. And I don't want to see that happen to Caleb Williams because he was the prince. He was Trevor Lawrence again, and now he's going to turn out like Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, hopefully they can get him right the rest of the season or maybe even next year, but we'll see. A team that disappointed me the most, not even the team as a whole, maybe just the offense, the Texans offense. You're up big. Jared Goff's just giving the ball to your team, just handing it off to your team. The defense is playing good, and you just can't get that win. I feel like starting the game, all the Texans were all riled up, and they were playing amazing, and then second half comes out, the offense just forgot how to play, and then the defense, I mean, they still got interceptions in the second half, but obviously letting a couple of touchdowns here. But, I mean, that Lions offense has been working everyone. So, I mean, I'm not shocked they bounced back in the second half. But, I mean, if you're that Texans offense, just put up one more touchdown or at least one more field goal in the second half, and you got that game sealed.
Yeah, we discussed how impressive of a win it was for Detroit to win with 5 interceptions. I think it's even more of a disappointing loss that you had 5 interceptions and lost.
Yeah, I think if they kept playing like they did in the first half, they would have been the most surprising team to me, the Texans. But then they turned into my most disappointing team just because of how the diversity of those two halves. It was really disappointing to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple more of the things I want to talk about. Speaking of disappointments, you had promised me, jokingly, I'll say, Trey Lance would be the savior. He came in, he fumbled, he threw a pick. Looks like he's the savior in Philadelphia.
He had some tough plays, but there were some times he would run it. I'll be like, ooh, like he looks good. He had a couple short throws here. I think we're not playing for anything, so why not give the young kid some touches, see if he could turn into anything instead of Cooper Rush. That's my opinion. I think he's better than Cooper Rush, and I think obviously he has more upside, and just see what we got.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Before we end the episode, one last shout out to the biggest winners of the week, the New York Giants. You might finally be moving on from Daniel Jones.
Congrats to the Giants. Thank you for watching this episode of House Divided. Stay tuned for Friday where we'll drop our preview and predictions for this upcoming weekend. And drop in the comments the punishment you guys think the loser should do, and we'll pick a reasonable one. But yeah, thank you.
Keyword reasonable.